Well, Intro-DIA is a big, large-scale, multinational research study that's been introduced by an alliance between Boehringer Ingelheim, Eli Lilly and the International Diabetes Federation to actually look at over 10,000 patients with type 2 diabetes and over 6,500 physicians to actually look at the very early conversations that take part in that type 2 diabetes consultation.
Some of the early results from the Intro-DIA study are going to be presented at ADA this year, and they're really focused on what we've learned from the physician part of the survey.
The overall key insights that will be presented at the American Diabetes Association is that the vast majority of physicians feel that the initial conversation with patients at the time of diagnosis are crucial for long-term success in terms of metabolic control, but also for adherence to the medications that they may prescribe.
It's very important the type of conversation that a physician has with a patient when they are giving them the diagnosis of diabetes, because it affects how a patient views the disease in the future.
The initial study data has actually already told us a great deal about that early conversation. We've already seen that between 76 and 100% of the physicians that are actually involved in type 2 diabetes are actually stressing the importance of that early conversation in the ongoing management of the patient.
Today, probably the most interesting thing we realize is that physicians all over the world, in almost all countries, really report having a lot of stresses and strains about what it's like when they are going through this experience of sitting with their patients, letting the individual know that they have type 2 diabetes now and what needs to happen next.
The provisional data that's already come out from the Intro-DIA study has actually shown that 92% of the physicians questioned have actually identified that they would like additional tools to help with advising patients on their behavior change.
These behavioral changes are so important, and it really sets up a platform for good control over the long term. And these behavioral changes really are making some substantial changes in their lifestyle. Everything from what they eat, how much they eat, what times do they eat, to the exercise, the amount of exercise, the intensity and the duration of exercise, along with now taking medications and seeing not only the diabetes specialist regularly, but all the other specialists that people with diabetes have to see, such as the kidney doctor, the eye doctor, etc. The insights that we've been talking about really have a major impact on the objectives of this study. The 2 time points that we're focused in on in the Intro-DIA study really are so crucial. Initial diagnosis and the time when a patient feels they're failing when you have to add another medication.
When I think about what might emerge from the Intro-DIA data over time and what we might be able to create that could really make a difference, I can see all sorts of things that might be helpful for both patients and healthcare professionals.
It's been really good fun looking at it from the physician perspective, but I'm sure once we've got the patient perspective data available, that's really going to show us and help us to develop any tools necessary.
Ultimately, when the Intro-DIA study is finished, we'll have lots more information about the initial consultation and those add-on moments where we've had conversations with patients about adding in additional medications, and hopefully it will identify where we can actually improve those conversations and have a massive difference on the ultimate engagement of the patient.
The results of the Intro-DIA study, now we've focused on the conversations by physicians to their patients at 2 critical time points: initial diagnosis and when they have to add a second medication. But the survey included over 10,000 patients, And I'm excited about the fact that we're going to develop conversation tools and practical methods that we can actually take right to the patients when they're first diagnosed and at a time when they need a new medication to help them overcome those barriers and also improve their communication with their healthcare providers. So this study is going to make a great impact at the community level.